Following that, we have Ron Barron from Central Mass Regional Planning Commission to talk to us about battery energy storage systems and solar bylaw technical assistance program. Then we'll have the town planner update, and then old and new business, then adjournment. And for the record, this meeting is being recorded. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of January 26th? Okay, and any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
Okay, so moved, Sue, and second, Brad. All in favor? Very good. Okay, Jerry, I think we're ready.
I'm happy to be here to walk through the presentation, which is an update of the year 2025. And we'll cover meals and hotel spending, expanded the retail activity review. We also had another business attitude survey to talk about, and also present a very positive example of one-stop shop business service model that we try to adhere to here in Sturbridge. An update on promoting and marketing and advertising Sturbridge through the STA and our marketing firm, Break the Ice. Attendance and visitorship data, talking about a new construction of a new building in the town, which is exciting. Positive events that have occurred within the year, and some future efforts and initiatives. Under hotel and meals revenue, meals spending for calendar year 2025 was $86.6 million, which was 8% above 2024. And you can see the previous years have had 4 or 5% increases, which is good to see. How much of it is due to the rising price of food is definitely a consideration. So it's hard to tell what's growth and what's just normal, increased cost of doing business. It is interesting to note that the whole 4 quarters were pretty consistent for meals, where it once was kind of seasonally fluctuate. If you look down at 2017, you can see that in summer and fall you had 34 million, and then winter and spring you had 27 million. And as the years have gone by, it's kind of evened out, which I think is a positive. And it also talks about, spending patterns and visitorship. Going forward, 2025 experienced meal spending increases of 16% in the winter, 10% in the spring. But summer saw no increase, with meal spending the same since summer of 2020. Winter and spring have seen consistent increases, but summer and fall have been steady with no increases. So there's been seasonal fluctuations. And as I noted before, we are also seeing less of a seasonal fluctuation between winter and spring and summer or fall. 2025 may see consistent seasonal spending as well. I thought it might be fun to do a comparison of meal spending to compare Sturbridge against Amherst, Holyoke, and Salem from 2022 through 2025. So I've given you all the calendar year totals for those 4 comparative locations. And since 2022, meal spending in Sturbridge has climbed 17%, Amherst was 23%, Holyoke was only 6%, and it was kind of flat for all those years. Salem saw a 13% increase, and Worcester a 15% increase. So we're in line with the other towns have seen increases as well. What's also really interesting to see is that Worcester does $584 million a year in meal spending, which is, compared to our 86 million, is quite a lot of money. Salem at 210 million. Going to hotel revenues, you can see again that here there is a seasonal fluctuation. And for 2025, total hotel revenues were 22.5 million, which is a little bit above 21 million, and then the year before was 21 again. So they've all recovered from the COVID year and then settled in at the low 20s. We measure hotel revenue by the Department of Revenue reports. They're also, CoStar is a really huge business database firm which bought Smith Travel Research, and they also issue quarterly hotel occupancy reports, and they're very, very detailed. But they're dependent upon how many of your local hotels will participate in that monthly reporting. And for us, we only have 3 or 4 Sturbridge hotels that do report out of the 10 or 11 that we have. So, and CoStar, once they took over Smith Travel, have doubled the cost of the subscription. So we're really not subscribing at least every year to those reports. And then if I get them, I'm only getting 3 or 4 or 5 hotels and not all of them. Some other hotels feel that if they give their data to Smith, that other people may see it. They may sell it, you know, and they don't want to, they view that as privileged information. It's a fascinating topic because Marriott hotels insist on it. So if you own a Marriott hotel, you have to report your data. But in the other, if you're an independent, the odds are you're not going to do it. So this is really the data we rely on.
Yeah.
So I did also did a comparison of hotel revenues.
Terry, before you move on that, could you move back to the previous slide, the one that had the meals by those towns? Yeah, because I don't think that was actually in my packet here.
No, we don't.
So it was kind of interesting. I mean, you look at now, for example, you did mention how, of course, Worcester is 584 million, but they're a city. I mean, there's 150,000 people. But, I mean, on the other hand, look at us. I mean, here we have Sturbridge with 8.7 million, Amherst, which is much bigger than this, only 80, and Holyoke, only 100. So, I mean, we really are at a level for this meal spending, you know,
Absolutely.
much out of proportion with the size of our community. So, you know, the money we're getting from that is really significant when you consider other communities getting equivalent funds that are much larger than us.
Definitely.
Good point.
$2025 hotel revenues were projected to be $22.2 million, a 6% increase. Hotel revenues have averaged a consistent $20 to $21 million since 2023. In the spring of 2025, revenues dropped 23% from the year before, and in the fall, 2024 revenues were 5 to 8% lower than the year before. Hotel visitorship remains seasonal with a shift of 80 to 100% from winter to summer, fall. And here I did some comparisons again with 4 other communities, and you can see that we experienced an 18% increase in hotel revenue versus Amherst, which is really small. Amherst only has, actually I put 3, they actually had 4 hotels, and then one was a 22-room hotel that just closed down. They experienced a 66%. But it's an outlier because it's such a small amount of hotel rooms. Holyoke saw a 17% increase, which is similar to ours. Salem saw a 51% increase in hotel revenue from 2022 to 2025, and I find that fascinating, and I have to ask someone in Salem if there's an explanation for that.
I know why, yeah.
You know,
Right.
and what I did because of that number was then, and it was kind of unscientific, but I went to hotels.com and tried to ascertain, well, how many hotels are in all these areas? So Salem has 19, we've got 12, Amherst has 3, Holyoke has 14, and Worcester has 15. And what's interesting about Worcester is there's not much movement there at all.
Right.
I mean, for all the energy they put in and all the tourism money that they spend, to see that it's just interesting. I mean, it's maybe that's the most you're going to get, most juice you're going to get out of the lemon.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it's interesting to see.
Well, yeah, I think when you consider the city as well, I mean, a lot of it is probably business stuff that they have to have for different things, you know. But there's another one that really, you know, highlights the advantage that Sturbridge has just from this. When you look at, you know, that kind of money, $22.5 million compared to other Worcester and everyone else, it is really remarkable the money we get in from this. You know, particularly the impact it has on our overall budget.
Does this consider the number of hotels per year? Has it been consistent for each of these cities for each of the years?
I would say so, because hotel construction is sort of a ongoing, it's not a rapid, you don't suddenly go from
Right.
5 to 10 hotels in a year or two.
Yeah, not a massive growth, but
But I'm
one
with-
could be significant.
But the question is very good, because maybe Salem has taken on in the last 2 or 3 years more lodging. Maybe they got a, like a, what are those parks, those indoor water parks, that,
Sure. I don't think
something
they
like
have,
that.
but you never know, I guess.
But anyway, but yeah, it's a, and I would also say 14 hotels in Holyoke is really not accurate. I think what Hotels is doing is they're including the surrounding area. So, but nevertheless, those are their hotel revenue numbers. So it's worth finding out more about that. So, next. Retail overview, as before, we've noted, we have 125 businesses in and adjacent to Sturbridge, 4 bakery and dessert makers, 4 coffee and tea, 32 restaurants, 3 orchards, 3 wineries, 6 brew pubs, 3 wedding venues, 11 hotels and motels, 3 RV parks, technically 2, but I include the one that's right outside near Brimfield, 31 specialty shops, and 25 health, wellness, spas, and fitness. And then here I list again business categories by percentage. Food and beverage is 42%, retail is 25%, health and wellness is a big niche with 25, which is almost 20%.
Can you define who is in health and wellness spa? Who are they? Right, I saw this, but
Go back to the earlier school. The tour guide has I have a Word document where I have every business listed, and then we categorize it in the tour guide as well.
I just don't know of them in town, and I'd like to know where they are. Maybe if we could have a list so that we could tell people what's around, like a couple of these new businesses. I have no idea where they are or what they're doing. And it would be good if we let the public know what it's all about.
Just
curious.
Our goal for the end of the winter is to update the tour guide. So we'll take out the ones that have left and put in the new ones that have arrived. And the tour guide has a reverse index, so it lists all the restaurants, all the wellness centers, so you can see, in answer to your question, businesses by category, not by alphabetical order.
Right.
And then there's a map attached to it as well with, the map is zoned. So once you go to the index, you can pick a business and then go to the zone and know where it is.
Just for the sake of interest, can you name a couple of the health wellness from your list so I can understand what is included in that group?
Fitzgerald Dance and Fitness, Your Health Matters, which is down the road, Caribbean Tan Massage, Lift Facial Rejuvenation, which just moved over to the building where Tutti Quanti is. There's an acupuncture Oriental Medicine in the Fisk Hill Plaza. Let's see, Hubbard's Physical Therapy at the Fisk Hill Mall. Form First Physical Therapy on Route 131. What else have we got here? Alternatives for Health with Sally Green's business. Hair Gallery Salon Spa. Sasanity Wellness, which is out here on 20. Hidden Muse Tattoo has now become Central Raven Tattoo,
Who's that?
right across the street from Village Pizza, right next to
Oh.
right past
Okay.
Rapscallion. So yeah, it's a big
amazing to
niche.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you
Sure.
for clarifying.
Next. I list retail openings and closings, probably have missed a few, but you've got new openings, you got Twiddledees, Collective Spa Wellness, Sturbridge Coffee's has opened a second location at the Frisbee's Service Center, Dollar Tree, the Sturbridge Cinemagic, Ishi Shabu, Evelina's is where the Stonewall was. Luminaire Studio is in the Millyard Building, a new candle company or business, which is more of an interactive business that you can have events surrounded about making candles and wax. Sue Bray Photography, Gito's has been open for a while. The Little Rest Stop is a brand new eatery that took over for the Village Grill, if I got it right. the hair company, the Soggy Door Spa, and Threads Boutique, which has expanded within the Mill Yard. Closings, Stonewall Tavern, Heel Dispensary, Soup to Nuts, the Brazilian Food Market, Y Boca Taco, Lake Road Living and Hydragia, Hog Heaven, Baba Sushi, Old Village Grill, Trail Dusters, 24/7 Fitness, and the Walgreens. And then planned is a Frisbee's ice cream franchise in where Y Boca Taco was. Mangia Beni is an Italian restaurant that's going to be opening up where Trail Dusters was. And then Five Star Games is going to open just up from where the rest stop is on 48.
So why Boca Taco? That was where the gas station, the
Noble.
Noble Gas?
Yes.
So they only open a really short time, is that it?
Yes.
I mean, I'd heard it was very popular, but.
Good.
Yeah. The other thing is Five Guys. What's going on with Five Guys near Panera's?
That never happened.
Right, I know.
I can probably answer that one better. So they have everything they need from us. Was negotiations between the property owner and Five Guys that kind of have not materialized.
Do we anticipate it materializing or not?
I'm not sure. I did speak to the property owner a while back, and he was still in discussions with Five Guys, so
Just wondering.
he's hoping, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I did a summary of the Mill Yard occupancy and come up with the following observations. There are 17 tenants in the building at the end of this year, and there were 17 in 2024. There are now 4 vacant spaces in the building, and there are 8 businesses that closed since 2024, but 8 new businesses opened in 2025. Brush It Off and Threads have expanded. The Deep Roots expanded into the subway space, not the subway space, the Mexican restaurant space, into the axe-throwing entertainment type of business. Mass Motion has vacated space at the basement of the ground floor of the building and have gone up to the 3rd floor and taken more space. What's interesting is that this building had a lot of very interesting office tenants: Excel, North Point Mortgage, Rasulo Engineering, and an elevator operating school, and they have all left. So now the building is more retail and more type of tourism-related businesses. And what were very, positive office tenants are gone, and there has not, those type of tenants are not really in the building at this point. Here I have the list of tenants from 2024 to 2025, as I've explained. There are 4 vacancies: the Soup to Nuts space, the engineering space, the Mass Motion space, and Mass Motion had ground floor space and had space on the 2nd floor. They've now moved up to the 3rd floor. So that's where that is.
So on Deep Roots now, you had them as on floor 2, and then now it's vacant
Sorry.
on Deep Roots? Oh, no, I see what you mean, that space next to it is vacant. So Deep Roots was talking about having a location in Brimfield. Are they going to keep the one here?
I have not heard they're not. And the Keith Devereen is a town resident, and he just became a new member of the STA.
Oh, great. Oh, that's fine. I just wondered about that, so that's good.
As I said, we have 125 tourism-related businesses in Sturbridge. Most are locally owned. There were 6 vacancies in '23, 5 in '24, and I count 8 in this particular time period, and that's a positive low rate of 6.4%. And if you take the 4 out of that are in the Mill Yard, you're dealing with 4 in the rest of the town, which is interesting. It's we do an annual business survey every year, and got 22 responses, which I thought was really very good. The responses varied from question to question. For whatever reason, some of the respondents did not answer every question. And I know in previous presentations, people have observed that, and that is just the nature of when people filled it out. I think a lot of the results were very positive. How was 2025 for your business? 15 said good to great, 4 said break even, and 2 said it had some challenges. Was 2025 better or worse as 2024? 1 said better, 4 said the same, and 2 said not better. What's your outlook for 2026? 9 positive, 9 cautiously optimistic, 1 break even, and 2 are concerned. What percentage of customers are within 35 miles? 3 said it 25%, 0 said 25 to 50%, 2 said 51 to 75, and 2 answered 76 to 100. So you can see not many people answered this question. What percentage of your business is beyond 35 miles? Again, not much of an answer. 6 said up to 24%, and then 1 said 76 to 100%. Do you feel visitors come from all over? 15 said yes. 6 said more local and regional. Does your business benefit from RV visitors? Because as we know, we probably have the course of the year, and it's a very conservative estimate, maybe 90 to 100,000 people will come through here in the RVs, taking a 50% occupancy of all the retail, all the RV portal pads, and assuming 2 people per occupancy. So most people said, 3 said many, 8 said not many, and 4 said none, and 6 said hard to measure. So 6, 10, 18 basically said not many, none, or hard to measure. So that's interesting to see that. Do events at the host generate patronage? 1 said yes, 6 said a fair amount, and 14 said it was hard to measure. Are weddings a patronage driver? 7 said very strong, which is good, and 6 said a fair amount, 8 said hard to measure. Does Old Sturbridge Village generate patronage? 3 said yes, 9 said it was modest, and 8 said it was hard to measure. Are there regions worth marketing to? 5 said Boston, 5 said Eastern Mass and the Cape, and then 5 said all of the above. Does Brimfield generate foot traffic? And here you see 11 said strong, and 5 said middling. So that's 16 in a good way, and 1 said hard to measure.
One thing we noticed from the restaurants that they must have a big impact on the restaurants.
Yeah, and how do these questions come to be? Are they off some kind of used survey
I
form?
confess that I kind of write the questions because I often deal with people saying, well, does the RV park give us business? And it was interesting to ask businesses that question. I think, what impact does Old Sturbridge Village have when it draws 200,000 people? Do the businesses feel do they feel that? Do they experience this? So I think it's worth asking that question.
Yeah.
And weddings, we are a weddings mecca. I mean,
Right.
you know,
Right.
we've
We
got
are.
Weddings, you think it'd be a big impact.
300, 400 weddings.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
Right.
probably more. And so that to me is worth asking. And you can see the answer. It's 13 out of,
Yeah.
21.
And maybe if the RV people gave a little tag that said, I have an RV, and they would it'd be easy to try and
Be able to get
identify.
better numbers. Yeah,
It'd be hard to tell, really, where they're staying, I guess.
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm just leaving this panel because at another presentation, a person sort of said, there's only 2 responses, so is it really worth putting out there? But we've started this trying to interview businesses that leave the town, and it's going to take a while to get 5 or 8 or 9 or 10 of them, because some just don't want to fill it out, and some
Sure.
are hard to find. And
Right.
so, but I definitely think that over a year or 2 or 3, if you build up a good, base of 8 or 9 or 10 responses, you'll see what do people think of Sturbridge as they.
I think you're right. I think that's very important to do that, to find out just what's going on as best we can.
Exit interviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I got 2 responses, and the second didn't answer all the questions, and 1 did. And the one that did was very positive about the town, and in fact, she explained that to me in an email as well, so.
Good.
It was all
That's
good for
great.
that.
Very good.
It's really important when you're trying to attract businesses or retain businesses or help businesses expand, that you give them a one-stop or a unified presentation and a delivery. And that's not just the presentation, it's not just the definition, it's the delivery of what can be done to help make Sturbridge competitive for your business. And as Gene knows, during 2025, a technology business expressed an interest in expanding within Sturbridge versus an out-of-state location. And Robin Grimm, Gene, myself, along with two officials from the Commonwealth and Mass Development, which would be Kevin Kuros, our regional director, and Rob Anderson, who's with Mass Development, have met with this business together. This has been going on for a while, several times, as well as lots of emails and conversation. And out of those efforts to define what their expansion or retention plans are, an incentive letter was delivered to them from the Commonwealth, and then potential town incentives have been fully discussed, subject to the completion of their plans or their decision. And all of this is presented in, as a part of the process. And in fact, to get the letter from the Commonwealth, I thought was very positive as well. So they've had this in hand. The owner of this building has also been a part of the process because he has represented his ability to house this expansion, or it's also grown into the idea that he might just build the building. So at present, a new building is under construction for this potential expansion or a new tenant. So all around, I think it's a very positive and a good example of trying to deliver an incentive package or a service package to help convince a business to stay here and show them that we want them to stay here.
Right. What are some of the examples of the potential town incentives?
The potential discussing a TIF for.
Right, okay, so the TIP is obviously the program we have, yeah.
So to be able to somehow incent some of the tax increases from the new construction
Sure,
or their new
okay.
expansion
Yeah,
without
And-
harming the existing tax
And it
assessment.
says a new building is under construction, that prior.
Yes.
Where is that? Which building?
This one. 660 Main.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
660 Main is 40,000 square feet, and it's suitable for light industrial manufacturing or office. And as I said, I'm not going to say too much, but tenancy potentials are strong, so.
good, that's great. Very good.
We've had this slide before, major industrial businesses in Sturbridge, Lightera, Fiber Optic, Arlen Tool, G&F, Precision Metal Molding, the two cold storage plants, and then Photonis Optical Vision Devices. And I've gone through this slide before, Sturbridge at a glance.
A question about that. The statistic medium household income for 56,000 and a family household income doesn't seem current. Where did you get that stat? Is there any references you have?
Business West Magazine? That's what
I
they,
would-
that's what
I've
they
seen
listed.
other numbers other than that,
That would be higher.
yes.
Yeah, that number's probably a little dated now, Terry.
Marketing Sturbridge, you have a copy of the third quarter 2025 marketing report. And in it, key highlights are, since 2022, the STA has retained Break the Ice Media to work on promoting Sturbridge through advertising campaigns, website management, and digital platform messaging. Some outreach figures are 39,000 website visitors in 2025, 57,000 in 2024. The 39,000 is a goal, and we have not gotten the fourth quarter report yet to know what that final number is. In 2025, 376,000 people viewed messages on Facebook and Instagram versus 309,000 in 2024. Online ad campaigns reached 250,000 viewers in 2025. And then, as many may be familiar with, the Acorn Project, which was two events in which ceramic acorns were placed on the trails and people used the trails to try to find them, that generated a lot of social media activity. The Acorn Project has 51,000 views, 662 interactions, 433 click links, 484 likes, 49 comments, 107 shares, and 22 saves. So that was all very positive. Break the Ice Media, now known as Tap Into Travel, also delivers several blogs per month on various business spotlights and tourism topics for the website, which you'll see within that report. And then, as I said, see attached print copy of the marketing report.
Great.
Positive events for 2025 were the Decorative Cow campaign, which the STA helped work with Old Sturbridge Village on. And I have some pictures of the cows that were on the campus, along with the staff of our regional tourism agency. Zip Trip came to Sturbridge in August, and it created a lot of excitement and a lot of positive feeling. The Channel 25 came and did a interview with a number of businesses for a news report previous to the actual day, which was Friday, August 8th. And there's a picture of them out on that Old Sturbridge Common. Next. In September of 2025, the state's tourism secretary and her staff came to Sturbridge and were taken on a tour of key tourism locations in the town, and they also convened an informative lunch at Public House, and it gave the staff, all of the Kate Fox's staff, a chance to see Sturbridge and its highlights, and I think this has a lot of value in the months ahead, because once people have seen it and been here, they understand more about the town, and if there's ever a chance to apply for a tourism grant, they're going to have an awareness of who we are and what we have to offer. So this was very well, much worth it. We also had a ribbon cutting for the convenient MD care this fall, and that was a very positive addition to an offering that the town has. And they too were very happy with the way that they were handled in a timely manner for all of their approvals.
Great.
We've had Business of the Year awards now since 2022. We've had some past winners. We have winners for 2025. We had been planning to announce it, but we've had some, for whatever reason, the Board of Selectmen didn't meet a month ago, and then we were also told now to just try to make it in early March. So we're going to have the ceremony in March for them, because the early March meeting will be very busy. So we'll have the winners announced. And as I said before, this is a very positive event. We had 1,200 voters vote for this year in the 4 categories. And when these businesses really enjoy receiving the award, it's very important to them. They appreciate it. So I think it is a really great exercise for us to do. It gets people involved. It gives publicity to these businesses. It gives publicity to the contest. So all around, it's a really good annual tradition to continue to maintain. Visitorship and attendance. I've changed an attendance estimate for Old Sturbridge Village because they're hoping that they will attract more people with the 250th semi-quincentennial coming forward.
So this is a future estimate for Old Sturbridge Village, or is this a past? Are these hard numbers, or they're just potential numbers, and how do they relate to historical numbers?
The historical number is 200,000. They don't, and then the question mark is to 300,000, which is my way of saying, could it be 300,000?
What about the Sturbridge Hotel occupancy, and how that relates to the amount? We do get some sort of we have taxation for hotel and meals tax, so we must have some fairly hard numbers on this. And how can we relate it to that revenue that we have, that you stated earlier in the presentation?
The hotel occupancy figure of 100,000 is to take the total number of hotel rooms and multiply it by the percentage from the hotel occupancy report, which is about 55 to 57%. So I've multiplied our rooms by 55, say 55%, assuming 1.5 people per room, not 2, 1.5, which is again more conservative. So that's how I get to the 100,000.
Okay, and how does that relate to what, because as we're taking in a tax, we probably have a pretty accurate number, I would think.
Of how many people come
And
in?
we have the actual number of the
Well,
revenue, but we're trying
nights,
to put
based
that
on-
into people.
On nights, right? The tax is based on a sale on a room per night. Same thing with a meals tax, right? So there's something there you could use to kind of support those numbers? Because I think these are just estimates.
Well,
And-
the hotel
and-
occupancy estimate is very conservative.
Yeah, but how do we know if we're doing better or worse or the same?
I can't tell you how many people slept in those rooms through the course of a year. I can tell you how much money was generated in room revenue.
Right.
In a pretty
But
detailed
that's
way.
based on the price of
Correct,
the contract
correct.
of a stay, not
Well,
necessarily.
it's actually the actual dollars the town receives, based on, the tax and the amount that's allotted to Sturbridge. So it's a lump sum number that they get, right?
What I'm doing is I'm taking the hotel tax revenue and I'm dividing it.
You're
by-
dividing it.
By 6, it's 6%.
So it's based on revenue, not actual people.
Right, he's trying to
So you're
turn the
just trying to
revenue
break it
number
down so it's
into,
1.5 instead of 2, or, there is no hard numbers on that?
I don't know how you're going to figure out how many people.
the state
They don't
doesn't report
report it.
like how many people go to these
They
hotels.
don't report?
They only get the revenues they get, and then we get the percentage.
I see.
And then we distribute that the way we do per our own formula. So what Terry is just trying to do is take like the total hotel thing and just on average say, well, if there's so many rooms at a certain percent occupancy, 1.5 people,
Yeah.
that's the 100,000. So we don't really
Year over
know.
year, it should.
It's consistent year over year, of course.
Yeah, but I
you know,
mean, for
as
the
you stated,
ballpark, I would
there's-
say it's probably a pretty reasonable number. above
there is an
the number.
increase in costs that are being,
There's no point in
that
this.
everybody's,
Because, for example, I'm not,
No point.
you could have like 50 people in a room, and you could say, well, that's
Well, there is.
$10,000, or you have
It's an
10,
estimate.
and that's that. So is the
Well, the
metric
village tells you
the
what
amount of
they have.
rooms, or is the metric
Say they're
income or
around 200,
value
They're gonna be 300, they
of
hope.
the
So
stays
it's just a number.
in,
But I mean,
in respect to the
village knows
tax
how
that
many people.
we
They're the only
receive from those stays?
Brimfield probably knows.
I think
It
Charlie,
seems, and I'm just looking at it just from, not whether, okay, it's nice that last
Brimfield
year
must
we
know what
made
their attendance
21
is.
million on it, and this year we may have made
I
22.
mean, no,
So we had a
it
slight
is, but I mean,
increase,
it would
but
come from parking people.
it
and
takes real visitors
Charge, really do charge.
to actually increase tourism, right? If only 5, we'll say 5 people did all those numbers, well, that wouldn't be very good for tourism in general and for the businesses. So there needs to be, I can see where you have to go to get there and say, well, there's approximately 1.5 per stay.
yeah,
How
so,
does that are we growing is tourism per person increasing, decreasing, or staying the same? And how can we get any kind of trend from that, not just revenue?
Would the ratio, because if the algorithm of how
There is
they're
a-
calculating is
There is a
consistent, then the
loose
ratio
relationship to the
is-
relationship.
Right, so we.
I
the
agree
ratio's-
with that. But are we growing?
well, we're not shrinking, so we're not falling behind, so the numbers
I
are,
mean, the only part that would, cloud a little bit the idea about growing is what Terry said before about like costs going up. Because obviously if costs go up significantly, you can have the same number of people, you get more money, but you're not changing the number. So I mean, I really think the only thing we do have as far as, and also even from the standpoint of what direct benefit the town gets from this, primarily, at least for those two things, the hotel, motel, and the meals tax, I mean, that's the real number to look at, and that's what we'd
But
have to
could we
plan on.
extrapolate if the numbers are growing at a certain rate?
Well, I think
or
that's what he's
doing
trying
better?
to do, I mean.
Or are we just kind of standing in place?
well, I gave you the hotel revenues compared against
they went
other
up pretty
communities.
significantly.
And so we're in
It
league
does
with them.
appear that there might be some growth.
I can't tell you how many people have patronized our hotels. And to be, again, to be conservative, I just use that as a benchmark. In other words, I have never, in all these presentations, said, oh, hotel revenue went up 5%, I'm going to make that 105,000 people. I haven't done that. I've just basically said, if I take total hotel rooms by 55%, that at times 1.5 people, that's how many people I think you're going to get. But you're not going to get some of these hotels to tell you how many people actually came through.
Understood. They're, you know, they can give you those numbers, but they don't have to. Many of them probably won't.
I should
Understand that too. And where do we get like outdoor trails? How do we measure that metric?
The trails, that 60,000 figure is based on movement sensors on the trails. So it
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean it's actual people, but it's people coming on and coming off. So it's a good accurate,
And they have pretty good numbers on that.
yes, yeah.
Good, thank you.
Very good. All right.
Do I have any more left? Hold on. Yeah, I want to finish with this too. Future efforts and initiatives to establish business counseling relationship with either Springfield or Worcester SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, offer this to all small businesses as an ongoing resource. Been able to set up a relationship with Susan Doran at the Worcester Clark University SBDC, and I have forwarded 3 businesses to her, and then going forward, we'll continue to do that. So businesses know that they can receive this free counseling for them on any category you could imagine, which is a really great resource.
Very good.
Another goal is to visit Sturbridge businesses in January, February, and March. Next is to continue to work to support the chamber with the new regional Worcester organization, and we've had now 3 quarterly meetings with the chamber representative Virginia Murphy and Erica Burrows, the chair of the chamber. We had a meeting last week, and we're going to identify a couple of projects to work together on, so I'm very, very happy about that.
Great.
Are you, I don't know if you are privy to this kind of information, how much does it cost for us to belong to the chamber?
$200 to $300
Oh, for a year? Oh,
for an
so
individual.
we get plenty of that in return? As far as advertising and assistance?
We're not members, but you were asking me what is
Oh.
what is a membership cost? It could be $200 to $300.
No, I meant, don't we as a town support, we continue to work to support, what's that mean? With the new
We
regional?
work with them on cooperative projects and try to work together on doing ribbon cuttings for businesses that open. We're trying to help them with the panel signs that they have on 20 that are promoting events in the town. So that it's things like, that going forward. They've now been invited me to come to one of their board meetings to talk to them and make a presentation, which is going to be a good way of building the bridge.
Yeah. So we as a town don't have to pay the chamber
No,
anything? Oh, I didn't realize that. Thank you.
Yeah,
They're
very
like a
good.
resource.
Yeah, and the supporting means is working with them, I think, really.
Yeah.
Explore updating the 2021 Economic Assessment Report. We're trying to get collective price points to see if we can afford to do something like that. Sturbridge Illustrated Map, that is now been completed and was delivered this week, so you'll be seeing that shortly to see what that looks like. So I'm happy that that's gotten done. So I think that's the end of it.
Very good. Terry, thank you very, very much.
Terry, I have one
Thank
more
you.
question.
You got it?
I do. This information is awesome to have. Is it possible to put it on our town website? So when people click into the town of Sturbridge, they'll know what we have available for them to have, be able to
Sure.
look into them, utilize the businesses, et cetera. That might be a good way to promote our town as well, on our
Good work. Very
website.
good, yep, definitely.
Thank you.
Very good, Terry, thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Thank you, Terry, that was very good, I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Terry.
All right, very good.
Learn something
Next, I
all
think we
the
have
time.
Ron Barron. Ready?
Hi, Ron.
Do you know him?
Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Oh, this guy, no. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with the board here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ron Barron. I'm manager of land use and zoning at the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission. I am fairly new to the commission in this go-around. However, 5 years prior to joining here, I was working with CMRPC. So I've got a cumulative about 6 years experience with the agency. I'm working on a whole lot more. So I'm familiar with a lot of the towns, and I'm looking forward to getting reacquainted with all of the ones that I worked with over the past. What I'm here to discuss tonight is we are kicking off a project that is funded by our district local technical assistance program. This is a state fund that provides money for technical assistance to our communities as members of a regional planning commission, no cost to the town. And what we're looking to do is to work with planning boards. Right now, we're working with 4 towns, possibly 5 towns in our region, to discuss the recent changes and provide technical assistance on the recent changes to the solar regulations and the permitting process that the state is in the process of releasing. This is the new consolidated permitting process that is going to be released. According to the latest information, it's supposed to be released this week, actually on February 13th, a little bit ahead of schedule. And what we're going to do is we're proposing to work with towns to help the planning boards and the town in general try to understand how this new consolidated permitting process is going to impact your local regulations, and to assist with making any necessary changes to your existing zoning regulations regarding solar and the battery storage regulations at the local level. So I just wanted to kind of go over tonight what the goals of this are, what the tasks that we are proposing to do as part of this project, and a little bit of the roles and responsibilities, how we're going to work with the town, and what we're going to try to come up with at the end of this process. So as I stated, the goal is, broadly speaking, again, to help the town understand how this consolidated process is going to impact you. There are new model bylaws that are being released by the state as part of this process to help bring town bylaws in line with the new restrictions that were passed as part of the law that was passed, and with the new consolidated permitting process. What we will be doing is working to review those against the model bylaw, review your zoning bylaw against the model bylaw, produce any recommended changes that will help make it more consistent with the new process, and produce language that you can then take to town meeting whenever you feel you're ready to promote that, if you decide to do so. As far as timing goes, the funding we have runs through the end of the year, which is nice because it gives us a good amount of flexibility. Money was released in January, and we have until December 31st to complete the project. As far as the timeline from the state side, that's a little bit different. The regulations, like I said, are going to be released supposed to be this week. And then according to those regulations, towns have a window where they are able to not accept a consolidated application for a solar permitting or a BES site. After October 1st, they will be required to accept it if it comes down. We're anticipating that most permits will probably want to come through this new consolidated permit. And so there's a little bit of flexibility in there. I know that is sort of can be an awkward time because a lot of towns are coming up on their town meeting season in the next few weeks, and then there might not be another one until October. But so we're working with towns to respond to whatever your timeline needs are. So if you feel like you want to do something very quickly and try to get something out in time for our annual town meeting, we can work with that schedule. If you want to take a little bit more time and put something in maybe a fall town meeting or next year, then that's fine with us too. We have, like I said, the funding lasts until December 31st, so we have time to work with what you all need. In terms of how we're going to work with the planning board and the towns that we're working with, what we are doing with all our communities on this project is we are setting up a point of contact at the towns who will be the main conduit through which we are sending our information and our recommendations. We would be providing updates to the planning boards on a semi-regular basis. We have a certain amount of funding that allows us to come to a few meetings. We won't be able to come to we won't be able to provide monthly meetings, but we'll be able to provide regular updates every 2 months or so on as the year progresses. And then obviously when we do have recommendations for language changes, once we produce our deliverables, they will come to the planning board and you all will go through your regular process of reviewing it and giving comments on it. And we are also working with the regional contacts at the state level to try to make sure that we are able to answer any questions you all have about how this is going to work and what impact it's going to have on the town. There's a series of webinars that are coming up in the next few weeks that are being put on by the state, and we're also trying to organize internally a region-specific meeting with the state regional coordinator so that all of our towns, whoever's interested, can come to that meeting and try to make sure they get their questions answered. Because there's still a lot of things we don't fully understand about how this is going to work. And what we want to do is assist you all to get through that process so everybody understands it by the time it's actually being implemented at the state level. So that's just a broad overview of that, and I'd like to open it to any questions you may have about what we're intending to do and what I can potentially answer for
Before
you.
we get to that, Gene, do you have anything you want to add to, or maybe have your input and thoughts on this as well? Or
Yeah, I guess I could also say that Ron's coming out to our staff meeting next Wednesday, our land use division meeting. As you know, we had already started kind of working at the staff level on a model bylaw. I saw in the newsletter that CMRPC was offering the technical assistance. I thought with my pending departure this summer, it was a good opportunity for you to have some continuity after I depart. I think it also gives me a good opportunity to still kind of have my fingerprints on things before I leave, because I will be here for quite a while through this process. And I think that we will have the opportunity to give good input to CMRPC as we go through this, so we can talk about kind of what our concerns are. I think there'll be plenty of opportunity for that, to hear from the planning board and from staff and Conservation Commission members as we go through this process as well. So I think some people were nervous that when I reached out to CMRPC that it was just going to be kind of hands-off, and I see this as hands-on, but also then having the benefit of having an extra set of eyes, some guidance on a topic that I'm not overly familiar with, that none of us are really overly familiar with. We're all kind of learning as we go along. So, I hope everyone accepts this assistance in kind of what it was intended to be, is kind of, a guide for all of us.
And one of the things that we're hoping to bring to it is, by working with multiple towns at the same time, we're hoping that we'll be able to see sort of a broad range of what the people's questions are and people's concerns, and we can try to bring some additional context to it that, maybe might not be able to have time to get, just from Gene's perspective. So and we're also trying to bring the regional dialogue element to it, so that we can try to get as much, we can surface as many questions and as many issues as we can throughout this process.
very good. Well, do you have any questions or comments at this
No,
point?
that's a wonderful idea.
No.
This would be a great way to guide us through this whole process. This is excellent. Thank you so much for doing it, Ross.
Sue, any thoughts or anything?
Same Thank you.
Brad, anything you'd like to add, or?
I appreciate the, working with you guys to put these bylaws in place. I think the questions I have around management of the locations where we put solar in comparison with clear cutting and trees is one of the, so putting controls around that, and if there's discussions around those controls, and adding those into the bylaws. I don't know if there's anything you've had discussions on any of that now, but.
I haven't had, well, we're sort of in just the kickoff phase right now, so it's definitely a concern that's been brought up. I know there are a lot of considerations that the state has put into this consolidated permitting process about preserving sensitive lands, watershed areas, forest areas, that kind of thing. I have not dug deep enough to really fully be able to understand exactly which areas are and are not going to be considered as suitable sites by the I've been struggling with this acronym, the Site Suitability Board.
Yeah.
I keep going back between board and commission. Anyways, I'll figure it out before we're done. But what they are going to be considering suitable is still something we're trying to wrap our heads around, and we're hoping that through this process, working with the state and having these regional dialogues, we can have those kind of questions answered more
I mean,
clearly.
that's one of my biggest concerns. We have a lot of wetlands around here, right? And so runoff is a major concern if we're going to do a lot of clear cutting if a site tries to come in. Right? So that's one of the areas that I want to make sure we are thinking about. And considering, so.
Are you at the liberty to share any of the pain points that you leave that have you identified as points of discussion? Can you give us a quick synopsis?
Sure. The
What those
biggest
pain points?
concern is the questions, like we're saying, about what is considered a suitable site, because that's the concerns about watershed protection, about sensitive land protection. This is a consistent theme through all of the discussions we've had. One of the things that's coming up too is how is prime farmland going to be treated? I'm not 100% sure how that's being looked at in terms of site suitability, because that's another concern, is protecting farmland. But that is broadly speaking what we're hearing about the biggest concerns. And it's really just like there are questions about how the process is going to work that we don't have the answers to, and the towns don't have the answers to yet, that we are hoping will be clarified in the next few weeks when the final regulations get produced, and we get a chance to go to these new webinars with the state, because they're doing it's all part of their guidance documents that they're producing right now. They're having a question and answer sessions around that. So there's a couple of those that we're going to go to, and hopefully we'll have those answers cleared up soon. So.
I could maybe just say too, I did send you all an email today, and it does have a couple of the sessions on there, so you can register online to attend those. I did register for the one on February 24th, and then it does have some of the draft guidelines on there, but as Ron says, you read it today and it changes, and we still don't know what we're dealing with.
Right.
So it changes like every week, so
Yeah.
I was pretty happy to be able to get some assistance on it, because feels like a moving target. And
Yeah, it is to a certain degree, and for instance, they've had two model bylaws for both for solar and BES battery storage up, but they're both dated October 7th. So those may be the final ones that the state produces, but we don't know yet. We won't probably know until
This is
the
going
end
to
of
be
the
in the
week.
core of CMR 29, that section.
I'm sorry, you mean the bylaw? Yeah, so it's built off of the regulations that are going to be released, the CMR 29. And so far, I haven't seen anything in the bylaw that would contradict what they're showing as the final regulations, but I'd still like to make sure that once they're released, that the ones that we are going and we're presenting to the town are the final versions of the model bylaws, so that we can work with those and we're not using outdated information.
So as far as like the two model bylaws they're presenting now, the solar bylaw, I mean, a lot of communities have already had solar bylaws. So is this, what they're producing, really changing this a lot because of more requirements for these things allowed by right, or?
Yes, so two things that happened with the law is that, one is there were more restrictions put on what towns can restrict. So there were restrictions on what could be regulated and what can be prohibited in terms of solar, that is potentially in conflict with existing solar. It's less restrictive than what most solar bylaws are. The second thing is with the consolidated permitting process that's going into place. There's now two tracks. There's a local permitting process, consolidated permitting process, which is for anything that's less than 25 megawatts. Anything above that is going to be handled by the Site Suitability Board. So, and there is a way that towns will interface with that, but it's still a little unclear how that's going to work in practice. It's a little bit confusing.
They haven't flow charted this yet, have they?
They have, yeah, there is a flow chart going around. I have to dig it out. I thought I had it in my files. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me.
Because it just, quick reading, it seems a little bit of an albatross at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the question about, because it's per the regulations, they're calling it an optional consolidated permit, and it's optional on the part of the applicant, obviously not the town. And that's where that window of acceptance comes in, where if someone wants to take a consolidated permit, towns have the option to not deal with it and use their regular bylaws until October 1st, after which you have to accept it if it's presented to you. And then if someone decides not to use a consolidated permitted process, then which bylaw? Is it your older bylaw? It's your newer bylaw? So that it's a little confusing how that goes.
How did we even get
It
into
really
it?
doesn't seem to be giving you very much to only have a matter of a few months to use your own bylaw before you have to use theirs, though.
Well, and they're trying to give enough time for towns to adopt new bylaws and
Right,
to
more
change their
consistent with what they
bylaws.
want to have, yeah. I see.
I know that October 1st deadline is a little bit challenging because a lot of towns don't have a fall town meeting scheduled until after October. I don't know if you have if you usually have multiple town meetings a year.
We have had,
Special
town meetings, but we don't have two annuals. I mean, we don't
Okay.
have, we don't have a definite scheduled one, but we certainly could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, even on the solar bylaw, we certainly have had solar bylaws. We've gone through a lot of this stuff here, and a lot of that, has to do with, setbacks and things like visibility and things like not cutting too many trees and all that kind of stuff. And, they're more, if not aesthetic, at least, in that order. Whereas the new one with the battery energy storage systems, I mean, there's a different whole context there about the safety of them, the fire protection and so forth. And we have no bylaw at all for that. So, I mean, there's
Yeah.
quite a difference in, what we historically have and then what we need to do in a short time for both of these bylaws. So there's a lot to be done to try to make it with as much protection for the things we're concerned about in the community as we possibly can.
And the regulations that the state did put forward for the battery storage, there are a number of requirements that I'm still digging into that they have now put on these sites that do try to address things like the fire hazard, the runoff hazard,
Exactly.
things of that nature, like banning certain types of fire retardants in water in sensitive areas and things like that. But like I said, I'm still trying to wrap my head around a lot of it.
And we
and I'm-
certainly have a pretty significant groundwater protection area too that we're very concerned about as well.
Yeah.
It does go through town and it really has a big impact on a lot of our, sites.
And they do allow for view shed protection and for certain setbacks for screening. How much those restrictions have been limited by the law, we're still trying to assess. But it is still, it's not like it's completely disallowed. You can still have pretty deep setbacks. You can still have screening. There are still ways that you can protect the view shed in your town, among
That'll
other
certainly be
things.
very important.
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's great. Looks like we have a good plan to get started then.
And I'm also working with our Green Communities team, which is, our environmental planners, which we have on staff, which is very, very useful because this is not my area of expertise, I'll be honest. The zoning is, but the other part of it, the solar, and that's not my area of expertise.
I'm sure they'll
But-
give you a lot of help. A lot of help. Good.
So I'll be able to lean on them for a lot of these other questions.
Great. Very good. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much. We'll be in touch with Jane
Thank
as
you.
far as our
Thank you.
next scheduling.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Appreciate
for
it.
coming in.
Look forward to working with you.
Very good. All right. Next, we have your town planner update.
So not too much. As Terry mentioned in his presentation, Frisbee Ice Cream actually already opened
Oh, they did?
Oh, did it?
Oh, wow.
in the Waiboco Taco
Oh, wow.
Oh,
location.
good, good.
At
good.
Noble.
Yeah, Noble.
I'm dying to get
Yes.
down, well, when the weather gets a little warmer.
It's warmed up a little bit, but yes, they have opened.
Oh,
And
good,
then,
good.
I sent you all my report to the select board that I'll be giving next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So we're about this close to finalizing the grant for Noble, I think.
Yeah.
So Mass DOT reached out to me. The issues with the parking spaces for the bank were resolved, and now they've requested that Noble grant them a piece of property along their frontage for future improvements. So now Noble is having a plan prepared that will gift that piece of land to Mass DOT, and once that's done, I think we're finally done. I can pay out the final $2,700 and
Great.
close that one out before I retire as well. So that's only been since 2022. So that's coming close. The next meeting is February 23rd. We will have a meeting. The Hog Heaven hobby shop property has been sold to a group of local businessmen have purchased that. And they are going to put a golf simulator in.
Oh, great.
So, and they'll
heard
have
they're very popular.
different leagues
Yeah,
and
they are.
things. So it's kind of a tight spot. There's like 15 parking spaces there existing. But it's, the owner of Rapscallion, Tutti Quanti, and they have a couple of other partners. They've all gone in on it together. For Rapscallion, it was kind of self-preservation because the back part of the parking lot actually belongs to the Hog Heaven property that Rapscallion uses. So when it went on the market, they approached me, and I think it's a great idea. Staff is reviewing the project right now. There are really no exterior changes, so it'll be a waiver of site plan. And it's in really close proximity to the public parking lot. So I think great use of the building. So that will be on the 23rd, and we will have an A&R that night as well, so. And then our next meeting after that is scheduled for March 9th. As of right now, we have nothing on the schedule, but hold that date.
Very good.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you. Okay.
Thank you.
Next is old and new business. Wally, any old or new? Sue?
No, all set.
Brad?
No.
Dave? Nope. All right. Motion to adjourn?
Motion moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Very good. Thank you.